Sealies are angels, and Teyvat may be in a cube. 5.1 has some of the biggest lore drops of any Archon Quest, so sit back and grab a snack because we have a lot to discuss. Starting at the conversation with the Lord of the Night, we learn more about the power of the heavens.
They do not like being mentioned by name by any living being. They prefer to remain in the shadows as shades. The one you wish to know about? I call her the ruler of death.
Simply put, the four shades of the primordial one are the power of the heavens, with Ronova as the ruler of death who helped establish the rules of Natlan. This aligns with the 5 ideals presented within the artifacts. The flower of life represents the shade of life, the plume of death represents the shade of death, the sands of Aeon represents the shade of time, the goblet of void represents the shade of space, and the circlet of Logos represents the god of reason, who is presumably the ruler of the world. Yuhaltekudin, who I'll be referring to as Yahowl, also gives us more insight into the role of the shades.
The nature of death and fate are different. Fate indicates what will happen in the future. The time, manner, and place are all predetermined. But death is different. Death is a rule. The ruler of death cares little for the time and manner of a death. She simply guarantees that it will occur.
Although the fate system can be used to decide when, where, and how something happens, it can still be manipulated or subverted, just as folklores subverted the prophecy by tricking the fate system. The shades, on the other hand, serve as definite rules for the world. We can use Roanova's power as an example. Although fate can be used to decide when or how someone dies, Roanova ensures that they will someday die, and their death cannot be avoided. Another example of this is Istaroth's power over time. As told to us in a loading screen, time flies by when contemplating life, the universe, and everything. In other words, time continues to pass on regardless of what you do. And those same rules may even apply to the shades themselves, which may be why even Istaroth was lost to time. How ironic that the ravages of time have devoured all trace of the god who supposedly presided over it. Yahowl also said that by helping establish the rules of Natlan, Roanova overstepped her authority as a shade, which displeased the heavenly principles.
She helped Natlan establish the rules. It was also under her guidance that I created the Night Kingdom. She was seen as having significantly overstepped her authorities as a shade, which quite displeased the almighty heavenly principles. She succumbed to self-pity as a result, and no longer cared if others discussed her identity.
In other words, Roanova is feeling pretty depressed right now. This could imply that Roanova was punished by the heavenly principles in a way that either shackled or limited her, leading to her no longer caring about the sacredness of her name. And while on the topic of sacred names, this is also likely why the Enkanomians did not dare say Istaroth's name, and only wrote it down once, backwards. We call her Kairos, or the ruler of the unchanging world. We dare not speak her true, secret name, and so I pen it here, only once, and in reverse. Hiratsi. I will talk more about the shades later, but let's continue the conversation for now. Next, the traveler asks Yahowl about the Loom of Fate.
I'm not familiar with that concept. The device is capable of weaving and creating ley lines, you say? Even I cannot create something from nothing. I can only reconstruct the ley lines by reassembling the yet intact components into a new structure. If that power were available to the people of Natlan, they might have a new option against the Abyss.
Creating new ley lines seems to be a foreign idea to Yahowl, which could mean even Celestia lacks the power to do so. But Yahowl says it could be another way to help Natlan defend themselves from the Abyss. The second I heard this, I started wondering how it could fit into the Abyss Twins' plan. And after some thought, I may have uncovered the real purpose of the Loom of Fate. The Abyss poses the biggest threat to Natlan because their natural ley line system is severely damaged, and the ley lines help to stabilize the world and repel the Abyss. Without a strong ley line system to support them, Natlan is the most susceptible to any attacks from the Abyss. The Loom of Fate may be able to help Natlan in their battle against the Abyss because it could be used to weave new and stronger ley lines to cover the older, damaged ones. So what is stopping the Abyss Twin from doing something similar? Even before the Cataclysm occurred 500 years ago, Khaenriah had to constantly fight off abyssal threats due to their proximity to the Abyss. This led the people of Khaenriah to look towards outside powers, such as the Celestial Nail on Dragon's Spine, to try to combat the abyssal beasts. But they were still eventually overrun, and the abyssal beasts flooded out of Khaenriah and onto Teyvat, which resulted in the Cataclysm. With that in mind, the Abyss Twin may want to use the Loom of Fate to weave a second Irminsul tree that mirrors Teyvat's, but instead of holding the memories of Teyvat, it'd contain memories of Khaenriah before it was overrun by the Abyss. And as shown by Rakatavada's deletion, the world will update to reflect any changes made to the memories within Irminsul. This may be why someone or something implanted the Abyss Twin into the ley lines.
About your sister. While you were resting at Gandharvaville, I took some time to perform an Irminsul search for information on your sister.
Yeah! Isn't Irminsul a repository for all the information and memories of Teyvat? So there shouldn't be anything on him or his sister.
There must be something different about your sister. Because, as it turns out, the world has recorded information on her after all. There is only one possible explanation. She belongs to this world.
They must be recorded by the Irminsul tree so that their memories can be used to weave new ley lines. Memories that can be used to reconstruct Khaenriah. But this time, Khaenriah would have a ley line system of their own. A ley line system strong enough to protect the civilization from the encroaching abyss, effectively preventing a repeat of the Cataclysm from occurring. But only time will tell if that's really all it takes to save Khaenriah. Moving on, we learn more about the origins of elemental energy.
Phlogiston is Teyvat's primordial form of energy. The heavenly principles used phlogiston as a basis for the creation of elemental energy, to develop a power to better counter the abyss. Light refracts into 7 different colors, which we collectively refer to as a rainbow. Elemental energy is a similar concept. It's essentially the modern counterpart of phlogiston.
Simply put, Phlogiston was the original energy source of Teyvat, and it likely flowed through the ley lines in the past. This would explain why the teleport waypoints and statues of the 7 within Natlan can be used to recharge Phlogiston. Both are connected to the ley lines. This would also mean that Irminsul was not created by the heavenly principles, which could mean someone else came before them and planted the tree. But the heavenly principles used the pre-existing Phlogiston to establish elemental energy to better combat the abyss. Presumably, the heavenly principles also converted any Phlogiston within the ley lines to elemental energy. The damage done to Natlan's ley lines may have prevented it from being fully converted to elemental energy, which may be why Phlogiston works in Natlan, but not in other regions. But this revelation also has some interesting implications for the Teyvat timeline. In Before Sun and Moon, we're led to believe that the world was previously ruled by 7 elemental dragon sovereigns until the Primordial One descended. The dragons tried to fight back against the Primordial One, but they eventually submitted, and the Primordial One gained the right to reshape the world, which may include creation of elemental energy. During the 3 Realms Gateway offering event in Enkanomiya, we were introduced to a type of crystal fly known as coral butterflies. According to the description, they were destroyers of the Old Order, whose sole purpose was to convert the chaotic elemental energies within the Light Realm. And given what we now know about the creation of elemental energy, the rampant elemental energy they converted should have been Phlogiston, which may mean that the coral butterflies served as prisms of sorts, who helped break Phlogiston down into the 7-element system Teyvat now uses. And if this is correct, it'd mean that the dragons were already trying to convert Phlogiston into simpler forms. This would explain how the dragons had 7 elemental authorities before the heavenly principles took over. The heavenly principles may have just been the one to finish the process of converting the Phlogiston energy within the ley lines into elemental energy, which the dragons then adapted to. Moving on, let's take a look at the Holm of Wicca punched into the sky. Inside the crack, we can see what appears to be fragments of a broken moon. And this broken moon may actually be a corpse of one of the Moon Sisters, Teyvat's most ancient sovereigns. Legend has it that in ancient times, there lived 3 moon sisters, and their lives even predated Morax's. The moon sisters were sovereigns of the night sky and lived alongside the first Seelie. They would patrol the heavens in their silver carriage while admiring the morning stars and shared sovereignty by switching positions once every 30 days. But when the second who came descended upon Teyvat, bringing with them war and destruction, the moon sisters got caught up in the war. With time, disasters overturned the sovereign carriage and laid ruin to the halls of the stars. The 3 sisters of the night turned against one another, leading to their eternal parting by death. Only one of their pale corpses now remains, ever shedding its cold light. In other words, 2 of the moon sisters were killed, and only one of their corpses remained following the calamity. The shattered moon we're shown may be the remaining corpse of the moon sister after it completely lost its light. And that shattered moon sister may be none other than our trusty traveling companion, Paimon. Throughout the game, Paimon has been likened to the moon many times. She also has moon-white skin, light hair, and a cape that depicts 3 moons with stars orbiting them. And we've been shown how much she loves the Traveler, a literal star, throughout the story multiple times. Paimon also has a demon name, something exclusive to gods and archons. And Paimon has gone as to call herself the god of protection when the Traveler questioned her knowledge of crying gods.
If you pinch Paimon, you'll be able to see a crying god.
Are you a god?
Paimon sure is. Paimon is the god of protection.
I have another video dedicated to Paimon being a moon sister, so I recommend watching that if you want more details. But if Paimon really is or once was a moon sister, the moon we see beyond the fall sky may be what the string Conotilus on Paimon connects to, beyond the sky and onto the broken moon. And just to clarify, I do not believe the moon sisters are the literal moons we see in the sky. Instead, I think they're more so manifestations of the moon's power. So, the broken moon we see in the sky may not mean a moon sister is dead, but rather that one is fragmented and currently in a weakened state. And if that fragmented moon is a representation of Paimon's current power, it would explain why the device Tori used to knock out the Traveler also worked on Paimon. She is no longer considered a god either because she lost a significant amount of power during the calamity or due to her not switching places with the sister, who currently holds sovereignty over the night sky, whom I discussed in the dedicated Paimon video. If you really want to know, I think the other moon sister is the Sustainer, but I really advise you to watch the older video to hear my reasons for saying so. It's also possible that this moon may belong to Astaroth, the god of time who was seemingly lost to time, but I won't be arguing that case in this video simply due to the lack of new information we've gotten on Astaroth. But what may even be more interesting than the broken moon is the appearance of the fall sky. We've known about the fall sky for a long time, thanks to Cryptic Scaramouche and .Tor, but this was our first time actually seeing it. As others have pointed out, the color and glitchy nature of the shape seen in the fall sky look very similar to the Sustainer's cubes. This similarity further supports the idea that the Sustainer is the shade of space or void since the space outside the firmament is the same color as her cubes. If that's correct, Teyvat may actually be inside one of the Sustainer's cubes, which might serve as the firmament protecting Teyvat. She refers to herself as the Sustainer because that's the duty she's been given. She must sustain the firmament until the Creator returns, or should I say, ascends? The Sustainer is passing away, the Creator has not yet come. But the world shall burn no more, for you shall ascend to the seat of the god. This was a very lore-heavy patch, and it answered many questions I had regarding the 3 realms. I was originally going to include a Capitano section in this video, but I don't have many thoughts on him other than a potential identity for his final enemy. Given his hatred for the Abyss and Ronova's willingness to help him, I suspect Capitano's final enemy is one or more of the 5 sinners with earth-shattering abyssal power. If I had to pick one, I'd assume Capitano is specifically targeting either Riria or Suchology, and that is going purely based on vibes. But I also didn't mention this suspicious line about the alleged meaning of the word Paimon. According to Paimon, her name means the guardian angel of travelers, and seeing that Seelies are angels tasked with guiding travelers, it's not hard to connect the dots. So, if Paimon isn't a moon sister, she may instead be an angel, tasked with leading a particular traveler to their destined throne. But I can't help but wonder if Celestia is really just a traveler's end. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that yet. Then I guess we'll just have to save that for a future theory video. But what do I know? These are just my outlandish speculations. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and or subscribing. I hope you all have a great rest of your days, evenings, and nights. See you in the Golden Hall.